All right, so it's 10:35, so we'll start again. Good morning to those of you who are on the call. I'll just repeat that there are still Blackboard outages across CUNY this morning, so all the materials that we would have accessed via Blackboard I've transferred to a Google Drive folder, and you can just copy the URL for that folder from the chat window, and you can paste it into your browser, and you should be seeing a Google Drive folder with various documents in it. Please let me know either via the chat window or just by talking on the call if you are having problems accessing the materials for whatever reason. I'm going to share my screen because I just want to remind everybody of some important, I guess, housekeeping stuff, and then also bring up some last minute, not last minute, but last wrap up of dates so that you can be sure that you know what is expected. This is already known, but I'm bringing it up again because the closer we get to the day, the more relevant it becomes. There's no Zoom call for this class next week, Tuesday, because per the academic calendar, next week, Tuesday, the 26th of May, is going to have a Monday schedule because of Memorial Day on that Monday. They're making up the Monday that is lost. And also because our semester, I think, didn't start on a Monday. So they have to make up the Monday that is lost on the 25th by making the Tuesday a Monday schedule. So it's a little bit awkward for people maybe who are working on a Tuesday and have Monday classes. Just remember that if that is the case for you, if you are required to be on any type of synchronous calls or whatever with your professors, just let them know that you have some type of conflict. And so because we miss the 26th, we don't have a class, that then means that our next class will only be on June the 2nd, and that will actually be our last class for the Tuesday calls. You will still have the studio hour on Thursday, June the 4th, because June the 4th is actually the last day of class at LaGuardia. And so, you know, that week of June, I guess it starts June the 1st, you'll still have two classes for us, but then that's it for the semester. So where do we go from here? I will do a check of all the work that was due to date. And when I say all the work due to date, if you look at the master calendar, which everybody has access to, I'm literally going to go through again from the beginning to make sure that whether people have done the work that they were supposed to do or not, and there would still be grace because I'll go through on Monday the 25th and then provide on basically a template. I'll provide each student via email. There's not really another way that I can do this. I'll just have to do it via email. So you'll have to actually check your email and see that I'm emailing you with this information with a document that shows where you stand in the class. So I will basically go through and try to grade whatever hasn't been graded. If you then realize that you have things that are outstanding, when I send you your template on the 28th, you will then have until this is a Sunday, sorry, this is Sunday, June the 7th, to make up any missing work. All right, so by June the 7th, we've already kind of finished everything. All deadlines would have passed, but I'm just giving you a few extra days to just make sure that you have made up everything. Remember, the aim of this class is really to learn, about yourself, about the college, to do things that hopefully are meaningful in terms of moving your studies forward, your career, and so on. So the aim of the class is not for people to fail and, for there to be for bad things to happen. But unfortunately, if people don't submit the work, there's nothing, that can be done. So you will have until June the 7th. That doesn't mean that you should miss, these deadlines. I think still aim to make these last three deadlines on time. But for anything else that's missing, I'll check on the 25th, and then I'll go and do a sweep back through everything on June the 7th. Well, not June the 7th, because I'll give you until midnight, so June the 8th, to see if you've done everything, and then that will basically in the end determine your grade for the class. And remember, I'm looking at everything. I have to look at the ePortfolio. I'm looking at Blackboard for whatever was, although most of the Blackboard stuff I already graded, but anything that was supposed to be submitted in both places. And so you always want to remember to publish any changes on your ePortfolio, because when I go in, if something is blank, you may have done the work, but if you forget to publish it, then I can't see it. So then it looks like you haven't done it. And I'm just giving you a tip again to refer to the master calendar for the listings of all the assignments that were or are due, because this is a complete list. And remember, you can always contact me if you suddenly don't understand what something is, or you realize you didn't do the work, and it's clear that it's still outstanding, but you're not sure where the prompt is, where the assignment is, or whatever. You can ask me. You can also ask Jessica, because Jessica would have walked you through a lot of the stuff as well during the studio hour. Does anybody have questions about where we are headed for the next, I guess, 2 weeks or so? All right, so it doesn't look like there are questions. So this announcement document is also in in the folder that you should have tried to access by now, or should be trying to access. So hopefully, if you want to revisit anything, you can look for it again. So let me see now. You can either click yes on the in the participants option, or you can just tell me over the audio whether you were able to get into the Google Drive folder or not. I don't want to start until everybody has the information that they need.
I can access the Google Drive.
You were able to access it?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so good. Others, have you copied and pasted the link already? Please say yes either by typing or by clicking yes in the participants area, or by actually telling me that you're okay.
Me and Anastasia say that our chat window is blank.
Okay, that's so weird. I will, Anastasia, I'll just, it could be that, that's actually an interesting point. It could be that you had to be on the call at the time that I sent the message to. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sending it again. Let me actually put the URL separate. So oh well, that didn't really help. But Anastasia, can you? Okay. So people who joined later on, I didn't realize that I needed to time the announcement. I thought that the chat window maintains itself throughout, like that my presence drives it, not your presence, but obviously that's not the case. So Anastasia, you're okay. The others who also joined later, you can copy the URL for this work and just see if you're able to access the documents. So maybe we'll give it another 3 minutes and just see if people are in. All right, so we've given it some time. I'm not sure if everybody is actually in or not because I'm not getting responses in the chat window. But I'm going to go to the listing of documents in the folder. Well, if my drive will work, it's, oh yeah, I thought it was up already, but it's not. Okay. So the first thing that I'd like us to do is, you may recall that last time we were together, we worked on resumes, and we'll start back up at resumes to pick up where we left off. Not so much for us to be working on our own resumes, but actually to be looking at resumes in the context of what we are doing today. So then the question obviously becomes, what are we doing today? So today we will be talking about what is termed co-curricular learning. And you can think about that for a while, but later on we'll talk about it more. So basically, I guess if I have to say it in a few words, you have your learning in the classroom, which we would call the curriculum. So you're learning all the things, whether it be in a bio class or accounting class or, you know, some history class. You're learning all of those things. And of course, that's good. However, there's also other types of learning that's going on, you know, outside of the classroom. And, you know, often when we think about this, especially I know I was the same as a student, you don't necessarily think that it's maybe necessary because already just dealing with classes is so much work. However, from the perspective of an employer, and remember we spoke about employers last week, from the perspective of an employer, often it's, you know, if two people have basically kind of the same qualifications, often they're looking to things like co-curricular experience that could result in maybe a better leadership or other types of non-technical skills that will set someone apart. So today we'll talk about the value, right? Why co-curricular learning may be valuable as a resume builder, right? To basically set you apart from the rest of your peers. And I'll give you, you know, I'll just give a short personal story. When I was also, you know, at what we would call university in South Africa, I was on a scholarship, and, you know, my main focus was basically that I just needed to have my grades as high as possible, that I just needed to focus on my school work and almost like nothing else, basically. And the people who gave me the scholarship, they would come at the end of every semester. We only had two semesters. They would come at the end of every semester and basically come and check up on me, but also, you know, see how I've grown, you know, if at all, over the course of the semester. And they would always be like, you know, your grades are good, you're in good shape, but the main complaint for me was always that I wasn't doing anything else, you know, like outside of classwork, and that it was necessary for me to spend more time trying to do, you know, additional things, maybe join a club or do something on campus. And at the time, I really didn't feel like there was value in that, because I felt like life was so difficult already, that, you know, where was I supposed to find time to do these extra things? What I obviously didn't think about critically was that they weren't necessarily trying to tell me that I had to be involved in everything and do all kinds of stuff. They were just trying to say, basically, like, pick one thing that you might enjoy and try and, you know, get involved with it and stick with it, so that your story doesn't just become, you know, that I'm an A student or I'm a B student, whatever. Your story is a little bit more, you know, interesting than that. And I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. But eventually, you know, I got involved a little bit, but it was only when I started interviewing with companies, you know, for jobs. Like I interviewed with Deloitte and KPMG and PwC and, you know, all the big accounting firms. and people started asking me about things that I was doing outside of just, you know, my grades, that I realized that I put myself in a tough spot because I really had nothing to talk about. And so the years of warning that you know, my scholarship people had given me actually came to fruition, because, you know, if when the companies were looking at me versus, you know, my friend or whatever, we basically almost had the same GPA, but here I am, not able to give anything further, you know, to set myself apart because I wasn't doing anything. You know, that's really helped the situation. So you know, again, the the question kind of is, well, is it necessary? Do we care? And so on. I understand if you're, you know, you're juggling so many things, you're working, you're doing all these other things, and I mean, work does help to strengthen your resume. Um, I think that the challenge that I'm going to throw down for us here in the session is to say, okay, yes, there's work and there's school and so on, and is there maybe out of the, you know, 168 hours that we have per week, do you have 1 hour, you know, that you can spend doing something that is going to strengthen your resume, that is co-curricular learning, so learning outside of the classroom? I hope that makes sense to you guys about what we'll do today. And the second part of the day is getting to know the campus a little bit better, the LaGuardia campus. And obviously, we're not on the campus, but certainly there are resources and things that are available online and so on, and important bits of information that you need to know. So we'll do what's called a scavenger hunt, meaning you're going around looking to answer questions by, you know, looking on the internet, and trying to figure out what there is on campus that may be beneficial to you, for serving your needs. At this time, we still don't know what the status is for fall. I believe we have at least another 2 to 3 weeks to wait to hear what the Board of Trustees of CUNY and so on says. So, you know, we kind of have to be prepared for both things, that there could be some in-person classes, it might be distance learning again, and some offices may or may not be open. So part of the purpose of the virtual scavenger hunt in the second half of today is also to try and make sure that you guys are empowered to know how to contact offices and stuff in case I mean, we'll definitely be online for spring 2, which means you may have to contact those offices already, but also, you know, if you need to, if you're partially at home and partially on campus in the fall, then you may also need to know how to remotely contact these support areas. All right, so that's what we're doing. I've tried in this class. The class looks very different, you know, to how it would normally look if we were together face to face. I've tried in the class to, you know, to gear things towards looking ahead, you know, especially with the resume work, and also looking to give you guys resources that you'll need, because the purpose of this class really is to try and keep you linked to the college and keep you in college. So again, if you know, if there's a doubt as to why do we even need to be in this class, it's because we care about you. I know that might sound corny, but it's actually true. So to start, hopefully now with all my talking, everybody got into this, and if not, in fact, I saw some people joined afterwards, or well, Ying Chi, I think you were the only person who joined later. Let me see if I can, what just happened here now? I don't know. Hang on, let me just stop the share for a second. And Ying Chi, I think because you joined after I did the chat, it's possible that you don't have this link to the Google Drive. So I'm just going to copy it quickly and share it with you. Let me make sure that that's the only person. Yeah, it looks like it. All right. So I'll go back to sharing. So you can just go in and access these documents. So what I want you guys to do, and we'll give it about maybe 5 minutes just to look at. You recall that we had this resume last time when we were in class together, first name dot last name. I just did it that way because I'm trying to protect the identity of the person who this resume belongs to. So I want you to open the first name dot last name resume, and then also open the revised first name dot last name resume. And then I want you to spend let's say 5 minutes looking at the two. And it's almost like those games that we used to play when we were kids, where you look at two pictures, right? And you have to spot the difference, right? So we're spotting the difference between these two resumes. And I want you to be able to, at the end of, so let's say I guess at 11:03,
Professor,
to tell me, yeah.
do we have to go on Blackboard for that?
Oh, have you not been on the call? I was saying Blackboard is down. So I've been giving you guys a link to Google Drive.
I'm in Google Drive, but the one that you're in right now, I'm not. I don't know.
Did you use the link that I sent you in the chat?
Let me.
Because I actually sent you a private message to see if you had it, so maybe you weren't by your desk.
You sent two.
I'm gonna send
it's
it
the same
to you
thing.
Mm-hmm. Are you in now?
Is that okay? Let me see.
Others have been able to access the folder.
That's the same thing I have, yeah. But
so the folder, when you open the folder, or when you get into the folder, it should look like this.
Wait. Oh, good. What? Oh, Lord.
Okay.
1 minute.
Sorry,
What does it look like? Sorry.
Today, but I'm not sure that Blackboard is up yet because we haven't received notice that it's up. So I don't want to waste you guys.
I only see one document. I don't see any folder or anything.
Yeah, just one paper. The lesson linguistic, like that's the only paper I see, not the folder that you have.
What do you?
What is it? Lesson logistic.
Yeah.
No, then that's not the right. I don't know why you.
That's the one that I'm seeing right now. The topical curriculum learning.
Okay, let me try again. I don't know why this is happening. Honestly, life would be so much easier. Let me just double check that Blackboard isn't maybe working, because life would be so easy if we could just go back to normal. Hey, it looks like Blackboard is up. Let me see first though. Yeah, I think Blackboard is up. So if you guys are only seeing one document, that's definitely not what you should be seeing. So go on to, sorry for the back and forth, but like I said, up to about 10 o'clock this morning, we were still being told that Blackboard isn't working. Can you log into Blackboard? Because everything that you need for today was on Blackboard yesterday already. So this is definitely the better option then if you're not seeing the stuff that I expect you to see in the Zoom call Google Drive. So again, to everyone, thanks Tanisha and Andal for raising the alarm. To everyone, it seems that even though I shared the whole Google folder with you, people are only seeing one document, which is not correct. I tried to log into Blackboard now and I'm able to get in. So I would advise you to just log into Blackboard and go and download these documents that are on Blackboard, because that's what we will use today. And once you're in Blackboard, please just click yes under when you're, in the participant section, so that I can have some idea of how people are progressing. It's very difficult to know when to start dealing with the material because I don't know how long it's going to take you to log in.
When we go to the Zoom call, what do we press?
When you
The
go to
first
Zoom
name?
call, it's the first thing. It says Zoom call May 19, right? Do you see that?
Okay.
Are you in?
Yes.
Others, I'll wait to hear from you that you're in.
I'm in.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Others, Anastasia, Karen, Jai, Jackie, please let me know that you're in so that we can continue with the class. Sorry, logistical problems. All right, so most people have responded that they're in, which is great. Okay, so sorry I don't know what happened with the Google folder. Maybe I needed to share individual documents with you. Who knows what lies in the heart of Google Drive. But anyway, to come back to the point here, if you're in Blackboard, you can start with these two documents. This was what I was looking at before. The first name dot last name resume is the same as the one we were using last week, and the revised one is obviously, as the name implies, it's a little bit different from the one that we had last week. So pardon me, I just want you to spend like maybe 5 minutes looking at these two resumes and highlighting what you think the difference might be. It's very subtle. I'll tell you already, it doesn't have to do with the experience of the person. It's in some of the other areas, okay? So take maybe the next 4 or 5 minutes to compare these two resumes. Okay, compare these two resumes and figure out what you think is the main difference between the two. All right, one more minute, then we'll talk about the difference between the two resumes. All right, does anybody want to take a shot here and tell us? Okay, Anastasia, you already told me um, that you found some stuff. So I'll go with Anastasia. Yeah. Tell me if you guys agree. In the original resume, we had Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and in the revised one, we do not. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So who wants to tell me what is Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society? Are any of you part of that, or do any of you know what that actually means?
Yeah, I'm part of it.
Yeah, so Andal, sorry to pick on you, but can you just give us like the 30-second explanation of what that actually is? Because that's an example of a co-curricular activity.
It's a national honor society for like CUNY College, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge benefit because you can get like a lot of scholarship from it
Mm-hmm.
once you sign up for it. It's a fee that you pay to get into it, but once you're in, you're
I think
always part of
is
it.
it still $75 or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you. So, and it's not it's scholarships, and it's also, haven't you like met a lot of people through Phi Theta Kappa, like a lot of other students and things like that, that you can network with?
I haven't joined any of the meetings that they have.
Okay. All right. So, but I mean, the semester is also tough because no one's doing anything to do with meetings and so on. But under normal circumstances, you may have gone. I don't know if you guys are aware that normally on a Wednesday between 2:15 and 3:15 on LaGuardia's campus. Again, I know we're not on campus, but we believe, we have to have hope that circumstances will improve over time. But on a Wednesday, 2:15 to 3:15, most clubs meet. So I actually mentor the finance club, and that's when we would usually meet to discuss personal finance, investing, saving, etc. Phi Theta Kappa also meets on a Wednesday, and basically, like Andal said, it's an honor society. You do have it is based on your performance in school. Like if you are doing well, you usually receive a letter in the mail to invite you to join the honor society. I've known a lot of students who kind of just ignore the letter, and they're like, I don't really need to do this. But actually, like Andal said, it's a very valuable um, uh, group to be a part of, because you get to meet other people on campus. Also, you meet with professors. You also have options for help to write your personal statements for transferring to other schools, to help you with completing your applications to go to four-year schools. You also have all these scholarship options, like Andal was saying. There's also an honors journal. So if you're interested in writing and research, you can you can do that. You don't have to be part of the honor society to do that. You actually just need to take an honors course at LaGuardia, and honors courses are available, and they would be designated as such. It's a course where the professor just does some additional work with the students if they're really interested in the topic. So the honors journal came out recently. So the students who are part of that are now published authors, which depending on what you're planning to do with your life and so on, and even not really depending on that, it's a big deal if you can say that you published an article or something. And then uh, Anastasia also said, yeah, the student is on the dean's list on both of the resumes. I mean, she has I think it was a she, I can't remember, has a really high GPA. So, but the dean's list is automatic, right? So it's when you go above a particular GPA, you will just end up on the dean's list. So that does look good on your resume, but most people know that it's just based on academic performance. It's not truly, a co-curricular or an additional activity. You don't have to do anything once you're on the dean's list, your name is just published. And then Anastasia also told us that the leadership experience was a difference, and that's true. All this experience here at the bottom, singing with musicians and whatnot. Sometimes we think that, you know, especially if it's maybe something to do with a volunteer organization or religious organization, that those types of things shouldn't be on our resume. But remember, if you're leading, like someone's leading a praise and worship team or a potluck team at their religious, in their community of faith, that's leadership. You know, so it's not like you're trying to talk about religion in an interview. You're just saying that that this is what you do. I was, until last year, I was the treasurer at my church for a decade, and it was completely voluntary. But it's, you know, it's part of things that I would put on my resume, because it shows not only that I'm committed to my community, but also that I'm using, you know, my knowledge of accounting and so on in many different ways. There's one more thing that that is different. Did anybody pick it up?
Yeah, they took out the leadership.
Yeah, the leadership that I was talking about. And what else? There's one more area where where the revised one doesn't have something. It's just above leadership. Under skills, did you notice that there's a difference between the skills?
I did not even look at the skills.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think it's this QuickBooks certificate.
Yep. Thanks, Anastasia. You're batting at, what is the word? I shouldn't use terms I don't know, 1,000. You're right. It's the QuickBooks certificate. So this person is interested in becoming a CPA and, you know, financial advisor and so on. So the fact that they actually, you know, they're not just saying, oh yes, I know Word and Excel and whatever. They're also taking the time to go and get an additional certification in QuickBooks, which not only shows that they have this interest in it, but it also, you know, in QuickBooks, but it also may provide them additional work opportunities, because, you know, if you're proficient in QuickBooks, then you might be able to do bookkeeping, you know, for someone. For you, Anastasia, you're interested in travel, tourism, hospitality. You may find out that there is a certificate that you can do in your area. I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just saying that these are, you know, you can make this according to, you know, change this according to your own interests. Tanisha, I know you're healthcare management, so you're finishing your degree, but you may find afterwards that there's a fantastic healthcare management certificate that is widely recognized. You know, I'm not talking about something that, you know, people are just trying to scam us or whatever. Like QuickBooks is very well known. You know, you may find something in your area, or, you know, others might find the other certificates that they can do. To all of this is just about making yourself as marketable, you know, as possible. Right now, one of the places, one of the ways in which many people are doing this is you'll see that there are many universities and colleges that are offering online courses for free. And so I don't mean like a course like, you know, your accounting or whatever. I'm talking about like something extra. Maybe you wanted to do an extra course in programming, or you wanted to do an extra course in like this, like maybe not QuickBooks because it's a proprietary software, but you name it, Coursera, Udemy, even Harvard and a few other places have online courses that you can look at if, you know, you have the time. I know most people don't, but I'm just bringing it up because it shows that you are taking some initiative in your life. So if you guys were, if you were hiring so Anastasia, you said you already got the event planner certificate. Fantastic, right? Because then that's something that's recognized in your industry, and people will be able to understand the body of knowledge that you have worked through to be able to get that certificate. And learning doesn't end. It's lifelong learning. Even for me, yes, I did my undergrad, postgrad, masters, all of that stuff, but you still do all this extra learning because of the types of industries that you are in. So if you are hiring manager, anybody, if you looked at these resumes, they're basically the same almost, except for these items. Where do you think you would Who do you think you would choose? Any ideas? Given that you say you have one spot open and you get these 2 resumes, what are you going to do? Did I stump you? Who will you hire?
I mean, you said one of them is revised, right?
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be 2 different people. I just wrote revised on it. So I'm saying it's 2 different, it's supposedly 2 different people, right? Sorry, I feel like I made it more difficult than it should have been. I should have.
I thought it's the same one, and one of them, it just got revised. It's just now different. You just made it better.
Yeah, so would you choose which resume would you choose? Let's put it that way. And then we can talk more. Which one, if you were HR and someone said choose between these 2 resumes for the person that we're going to hire next, what do you tell me?
The first one, the one that doesn't have revised in it.
Yeah, you're going to choose the one that's fuller, right? That had the Phi Theta Kappa stuff, that had the leadership stuff, that had the QuickBooks certificate. I should have made the names like Jane Doe and John Doe or something, right? So it would be more obvious that it's supposed to be 2 different people. But I did all this to say, I think the point still stands that, if it's between you and someone else for the same job, and you guys are basically, and this is, just the way it is, like a 3.0 GPA or whatever 0.0 GPA, you guys are basically on the same level. You have to be thinking carefully about what can I do that's not going to cost me maybe tons and tons of time because I have other things already going on in my life, but what can I do that will start setting me apart, from my peers so that I can get the job? What am I already doing that I'm not maybe thinking about? Maybe I am playing, like some people in this class are talking about playing soccer and things like that. Maybe I am the captain of the soccer team, or maybe I am volunteering somewhere to hand out meals or whatever. How do you translate that to be able to make sense on your resume? As part of, we spoke about transferable skills, right? That you are going to show a potential employer. We also spoke last week about what will employers look for in like a post-COVID world. We're now in distance learning mode. So I bet you, pardon me, in this time since March the 12th or March the 19th, when we came back online, you have actually mastered a few different platforms, right? You probably can now say that you know how to use Zoom. You probably know more about Blackboard. You might know more about various other things. So depending on what type of job you're looking for, you can actually now even market those skills. The fact that you are able to work independently, work from home, all of that stuff. You see it in the articles online that companies, their Twitter said the employees don't ever have to come back to the office if they don't want to, right? So as much as this distance learning for some people can be very painful, I do understand that, like it's difficult to juggle everything at home. You are actually also acquiring skills in this time, and skills that you maybe want to think carefully about how you can market yourself. And then of course, like Anastasia was saying here in the chat, if you already have certificates and things that you successfully completed, those need to be in your resume. All right. And most of you worked on the resume last week already. Remember that the resumes are due on May the 31st, and you'll be able to put them on your ePortfolio. And hopefully, if you're not working already, hopefully as you look for work, the resume will be able to come in handy. So that's that's kind of just looking at it real world mode, right? If someone was looking at these 2 resumes, who would end up getting the job? It's going to likely be the person that has a few extra things that they've been doing. And for the next piece here, I just want us to hear from, I don't know if you guys know Stephanie. She's around at LaGuardia. She was a LaGuardia student. And she's talking here about co-curricular learning. And again, I'll just repeat that curricular learning is what you learn in the classroom. It's the curriculum. The co-curricular is the extra stuff. And Stephanie will talk about this, I think, in the video. She talks about how she's actually a mom. I believe she has 2 kids, and how she was working also, and how she also felt like maybe co-curricular was just, you know, maybe an unnecessary add-on. So let's listen.
I can barely hear it.
Miss, I could barely hear the video. Professor, did you hear me?
I think she's gonna come back after the video is done.
All right. Let's not go again. So that's a Stephanie. Any thoughts on what she's saying there? Oh, you couldn't hear it?
Yeah, I couldn't.
Oh, you gotta speak up to me because my ears were full of the video. So let me see what I did wrong. Oh, it's probably because I have the headphones in. Let me hang on one second. Can you guys hear it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, so let me go back in. Sorry, I didn't realize. I mean, it's so obvious now in retrospect that because I had the headphones in, you couldn't hear what she was saying. Again, don't feel bad to just interrupt me. Not in the chat window, because I couldn't even see the chat window.
When I first started at LaGuardia, I was not engaged in school. I didn't know what the different activities that were going on, the clubs, different events. I was just a typical student, you know, going from class to class, go home, do my homework, get the good grades. But then it turned out that I wasn't really getting the full college experience. It wasn't until I came across the Crear Futuros program where I was able to meet amazing people, make amazing connections, participate in many events I never thought I would be part of. I am a parent of 2 children, so I know time can be a little constraining, but I always thought that if I wanted to experience college, I at least need to make 1 hour a week to participate in something. When participating in these different activities, these different co-curricular activities, you are able to make the most meaningful connections you'll make as a college student. So my advice to you is stay informed, stay connected, and take advantage of all the resources and opportunities LaGuardia has to offer.
All right. So some thoughts on Stephanie's video. Do you think, what do you think were some of the things that she benefited from by being involved in co-curricular? Any takers?
She was able to interact with more people and make more connections.
Making connections and getting involved. And you heard that she has 2 kids as well, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty remarkable. And you know, Stephanie actually got involved in co-curriculars, then ended up getting involved in being a, sorry, I'm just trying to close off all the stuff here, then ended up getting involved in being a student success mentor, like what Jessica is doing. She's was doing that the whole time and went to study graphic design at Hunter. And then because of her connections and the good work that she had been doing at LaGuardia, she ended up getting a full-time job at LaGuardia, and she still works there, working in the Center for Teaching and Learning and doing a lot of the design projects. In fact, the mobile app that I showed you guys way back in week 4 or 5 or whatever, that, you know, where you can go on and see all your classes and all of that stuff. She was part of the design for that. So what's interesting is that the co-curricular activities may not only benefit you from, you know, obviously outside of the classroom, but you could actually even convert it into jobs and things of that nature. So that's helpful. But now let's be real though. Like what happens to us now in this time of COVID? You know, it's clearly a difficult time to engage in any type of co-curricular. Obviously you can't do stuff on campus. What are you guys thinking? Is it just a matter of let it go and don't do anything this semester? Or have you guys done anything already that was outside of the classroom that you want to share?
Does it all have to be outside of college?
No, it's in, I mean, it's outside of the classroom. It, like, you know, it doesn't have to be, yeah, it doesn't have to be outside of the college campus. It's just that, you know, what we're doing now, like going through a lesson, isn't really co-curricular because we're learning about co-curricular activities, but we haven't actually done anything. If I was running the finance club this semester, for instance, and someone came to the club meeting, that would be, you know, co-curricular because it's on campus, but it's outside of the classroom, right? So that's what I mean.
I mean, I joined the Water for Success program. It's part of LaGuardia.
Did you say Work for Success?
No, Water for South Sudan.
Oh, Water for South Sudan with Tuli. Great. Yeah, I'm part of that as well.
She never in the meeting.
Sorry?
You never in the meetings?
No, because I already told her that I will work remotely, because the meetings are at times when I won't be able to join. But she and I work behind the scenes to help with strategy. So what's interesting is that we were supposed to, as a class, if everything hadn't gone haywire, on March the 31st, when the event was supposed to happen on campus, that was going to be our class for the day to attend the on-campus event. But nevertheless, I know there's lots of stuff still happening in the background. So that's cool. What do you think you've gained from being involved in that, Andal?
Like, not to take water, like, don't waste water when you have it, because there's many people that don't and need it.
Not to take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the project has been downscaled a little bit, obviously, because of current situations, you know, with us not being on campus, but there's still good work being done. So let me ask you guys to go back onto Blackboard if you haven't done it already, and look on the third in this list of documents, the third one, where it says virtual co-curricular activities. If you can just open that document, I'd like you to, first of all, click on, and I do believe this Google Doc will work. There's so Andal told us that he's already done something or is busy with something, the Water for South Sudan project. But for the rest of you who may be interested, this is not a, there's no demand in the class this semester. Under normal circumstances, I would ask everybody at the start of the semester to choose something to attend or whatever and do it. But because of the state we find ourselves in, I'm not requiring attendance at anything, but I'd like you to look through the list of virtual events. Some of them are already recorded. Others, you know, if you scroll further down, they're still going to happen, although we're close to the end of the semester. And then this is an event that's actually happening tomorrow and looks very interesting, where the Student Success Mentors have created a virtual museum that provides an introduction to the disciplines and shows various students you know, who have various majors, showing what they have been able to do in terms of how they've, I guess, crafted their career path. So look through this. There's also Tech Scholars, which actually has a stipend. And if you're interested in tech, you don't have to be like a computer you know, science person or whatever. They're looking for business students as well. That could also be a potential co-curricular opportunity. Transfer Services is still doing all their webinars. Those can also be found on their website. And then the Center for Career and Professional Development has a drop-in starting yesterday. They have a 15-minute drop-in virtual advising on resumes, career interviews, and so on. And then we've also got all these virtual support circles, which I've shared with you before, that would also qualify as being involved in co-curricular. And I shared this with you before as well, the micro internship. And then finally, pre-recorded financial literacy presentations, some on budgeting, banking, credit, and student loan repayment. So what I'd like you to do maybe for the next 5 or so minutes is look at the library of events. You know, you can click on this link over here to get to that. Look at this list of events and see if there's anything that piques your interest. And then at about 11:40, 11:41, we'll come back and hear from people if there's anything that they think they may be interested in now, or something that they may be interested in the future, if they, or once we are back on campus. All right. So either in the chat window or out loud, did anybody see anything that might be of interest to them for the, I guess, the rest of the semester going into spring 2 to get involved in?
Um, two that I would. You said two, only two?
No, I said even one or two. That's really, there's no limit. I mean, if you see more than that, that's fine.
I mean, well, I guess the two main ones. Well, okay, three. I have three.
Okay.
There's like a credit workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And
the one right near the end of the page, right?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And relationships and self-esteem.
Yeah, that's
And
support
stress and overwhelm. Those are like the three main ones I would do.
And so do you think that so I guess the next question is, what will it take for you to get involved? Because
I mean, if it's something that I'm genuinely interested in, I would commit to it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, like.
So you're gonna click on the tiny URL or whatever it is and sign
Is it
up?
do you do this now or like?
No, you don't have to do it now. I'm just asking because I also receive things in my own capacity as faculty, and I'm like, wow, this looks exciting, and I'll probably, and I'm this is not to pick on you, this is just real talk. This looks cool, and then I forget about it, and then a week later I realize that the thing already happened without me. You know what I'm saying? So I know that the credit thing is pre-recorded, so that helps. You don't have to you can watch that at any or listen to that at any time, but these other support circles you probably have to join. So you don't have to tell me now, but probably just think about if you want to do one of these things, about joining it on the day when it's happening. Let me see, I think I remember this relationship thing being where was it? Yeah, so starting Monday, so I guess by next Monday you can join and go to the 12 to 1 and the 2 to 3 if you have enough time. All right, great. Thanks, Tanisha. Anybody else see anything that looks interesting?
For me, would be the tech scholars and also the financial literacy.
So the tech scholars, they're definitely looking for people. You saw that the link to the application, the URL was there, right?
Yeah.
So please feel free. I remember a few semesters ago, they were really going hard advertising for this thing because they didn't have as many applicants as they would have wanted. So I think that would be a great thing to do and a good resume builder. And then I mean the financial stuff, it's so awesome that it's already recorded, so you can just listen to it at any time. Cool. Thanks. Anybody else? Final call. Anything you saw that moved you? All right. I'm sure we'll there are things and people may not feel comfortable talking about it. If anybody is interested in and Andal, you're welcome to share this information with us as well, but if anybody's interested in the Water for South Sudan project, there is an online option to donate, to give towards the project. I think they're trying to raise about $4,000 and they're already almost at 3,500, so they're pretty close to the target for the well rehabilitation. And if you want more information about that, you can contact me, I guess, and I can also, and Al can also let us know if there's exciting other stuff happening. It's hard sometimes, especially when, you know, we're all in the midst of something, to feel like, you know, do I really have bandwidth to deal with this? But often at these times, helping others is something that actually helps us to cope as well. It definitely helps with your mental state. So so that's also an option. All right. So in the last moments, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Anwar.
to add on, also if you had joined the meetings for the Water for South Sudan, they would have give you a badge and you could have put it on your resume.
Okay. And so that I suspect though that the prof will continue with this. What do you think, Andal? Next semester? I mean, can people join again, students?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
So-
can join again.
Okay. So how? Well, I guess anybody who's interested, contact me. I'll loop Andal in, and we'll take it from there. Instead of, I don't feel like sending people information if it's maybe not something that they can see themselves doing at this moment. But Andal, you bring up a good point, because we're talking about co-curricular activities as a resume builder, and not just for the sake of building a resume. I mean, you don't do it just so that you can check a box, but the point is, look at this valuable opportunity to help someone or help yourself. If we're talking about joining things that are for your own benefit, that also then translate into setting your resume apart, right, from maybe somebody else's resume, and making you just more of a whole person, a whole candidate when human resources or whomever is looking at your resume. So thank you for that. And also in the last few last moments that we have here, I want us to just pivot a little bit to, let me just share my screen again, to looking at, let me go back down, looking at this virtual, you see this here, virtual scavenger hunt. This is the second part of the lesson that I told you about, and it's basically spending some time. This is going to count towards your grade. Under normal circumstances, it would count less, but I'm trying to just make things count a lot so that you guys can just get your points and move on with your lives. So what this is, and for me, trying to get you to look online, mostly on the LaGuardia website, to try and see all the various items, things that are available to you to be able to get help during the remainder of the semester, but also in spring too. And if, you know, by some sad case we are away from each other again in the fall, that you will be able to know how to access the resources that you need. If we were in class, what would happen is I'd give you the sheet and you would actually go around the campus and find all the relevant information. So it would actually be something that was happening outside of the classroom. But of course, we're constrained in that we're all in our homes. So so basically, again, I'm going to put you into maybe groups of 3 or 4, whatever. I'll do some breakout rooms. And as a group, you'll work together to find answers to the following clues. Everybody should be making a note of what the answers are, because eventually you'll finish the scavenger hunt and then you would have earned 10% of your grade for the class. If you are not yet done, you know, by the end of the class, that's okay. We'll just pop in whatever whatever answers you don't have. You can also do it during the studio hour on Thursday. The final due date for this is May the 21st. Let me just go back to the master calendar. That the scavenger hunt is this. It's called Virtual Campus Exploration, but it's the same thing. So May the 21st, right? Where am I? Okay. So you all should have been able to download this document from Blackboard, or at least see it on your screen like this. If you're concerned that it won't save, just save it separately and put the answers in. And so I'll just give like an example of the types of things that you will be answering. Just looking at number 1, what number would you call during office hours for issues with Blackboard? You're just going to go into the LaGuardia website, and a lot of the things that, that I'm asking about, are to do with tools for distance learning or campus services. All right, so you should be able to find, sorry, I keep going to the wrong thing. You should be able to find your answers there. Any questions about this activity before I break you up into groups? And remember, when you go into the breakout rooms, you actually have to have the document in front of you because you can't see my screen anymore. So any questions before we do breakout rooms? All right.
Yeah, Professor, can I see the questions again?
Yeah, are you not able to see them on, you're not on Blackboard, right? You said you were having problems getting into Blackboard?
Yeah, it was some like every time I try to go in, it was like,
Yeah, there was an outage, but it came back at about 11 o'clock. But nevertheless, can you take a picture of this or something so that you have the questions?
yeah, I did that.
Okay, cool.
Thank
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna let this thing resume the recording so we can go over the answers together. I'm gonna go back and share so that I can type in the answers as people give their responses here. And let me just get to the right place. Okay. So the floor is open. Anybody can answer. Hopefully we'll get participation from all the breakout rooms. Otherwise, I'll call on you. Who wants to tell us what number would you call during office hours for issues with Blackboard? What numbers might after office hours? Where did you find that information? Any takers? Okay, so I don't have takers, so I'll start calling people's names. Ying-Chi and Jackie, in your group, what did you guys find? Did you find this answer?
I only find the office hour number.
Okay, that's fine. So, and did you look on LaGuardia's website, right? So if we go to tools for distance learning, over here, accessing Blackboard, if you have issues with accessing Blackboard, if you need technical support, there are the numbers. I'm hoping that this is, oops, can I copy this quickly? That this is what people, right? Is this what you guys had? I don't know who was talking there. Did you guys have this?
Yes.
All right, so you're good. So that's the answer there. I'm trying to go through these answers because remember this exercise actually counts a chunk towards your grade. So I would want people to have the correct answers. Next question: how does a student access the free Microsoft Access 365 software provided by CUNY? You guys know that? Has anybody accessed that in the past and knows how to do that?
yeah, the Microsoft is just your LaGuardia login and your Empl ID. I mean, you could literally ask anybody for like assistance with that.
Yeah, you can go through your LaGuardia email account. It's pretty it's actually pretty easy. Let me go here. So if we're talking about, I think it's then going to be, oh, I keep opening the same thing. I should just go back to it. Tools for distance learning. You can see Office 365 is there. If you go to this CUNY resources, yeah, I keep opening the same thing. Sorry, there's like a million things open now. Over here, Microsoft Office 365, it's free to all CUNY students. And as I think it was Jeremy was just saying, that you just go through your email account. So it's basically just your LaGuardia email. All right. Next question: does CUNY provide Dropbox free for students? I kind of already gave the answer away here. It does. Dropbox is available to all CUNY students. Dropbox is a type of secure way to share files and sometimes big files and things like that, and to collaborate. So the answer is yes. Okay. Another group: name one resource that forms part of community resources under student resources for distance learning on the LaGuardia website. Does anybody have the answer to that? Did you guys find that answer? Okay, so we go to student resources, community resources over here. So I'm back on, you know, if you want to know from where I'm going to student resources, tools for distance learning, community resources, and what do we have? Many things, right? Immigrant information, food assistance, you name it. So I'll just put the first thing that comes up is food assistance, but there are many more. Okay, who wants to answer this? What can you do to get help if you can't access your LaGuardia email during distance learning? Quickly, what do you do?
I mean, well, I wrote. I said I would speak to my teachers. I mean, I would try to email my teachers or any like.
You could tell your professor, yes. I think that you can start there. And then what else? Did anybody else have anything else you could do?
And then, I mean, off the top of my head right now, I also said like I also would like go to the school maybe, and like literally ask like one of the security guards like, what do I do if I can't access anything?
So the problem is that the school is completely shut. So there isn't even a security guard to ask. So this is also part of why it's good that we are going over this, because let me show you. Other people probably know, they may not feel like speaking now. So under the same student resources, Jeremy, you go to tools for distance learning. And over here, do you see accessing your email?
Yeah.
If you have a problem, you go to get assistance. And you can fill out the issue over here. I've had this happen to a student, and you're right, the student did speak to me first, and then afterwards they went to student, you go to student resources on the website, and then you go to accessing your email, and then you go to get assistance. And what will happen is they'll open up a ticket for you to see if most of the time it's because people forgot their password or they're trying to use the wrong password, so they can reset your password for you. All right. So in these days, while there's nobody on campus and you may want to get into your email and maybe something happens, you can still contact IT by going onto the website. All right. How can you get help from the writing lab during distance learning? Does anybody know what the writing lab is?
The writing lab is where you go to get help in order to, like if you're writing a paper for any kind of subject, and you go there and they help you.
So to improve your paper, absolutely. Do you know how to contact them in this time of distance learning?
I think you're supposed to log into your My LaGuardia account, and then you make an appointment with the writing lab.
That's right.
And I think they call you, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're kind of there. If you can even just do a simple search for writing lab on the website, and it will actually bring up this thing that you can make an appointment to your point, and you have to check in by email. You do have to go through your LaGuardia email, hence the reason that it's so important to be able to access your LaGuardia email. And so they basically are doing the help through Zoom, so they give you a whole big thing here on how to get the help while we're in distance learning mode. So I'm just going to put the URL here and you guys can look it up. So you're right, the writing lab can help you with your papers. They're helping online, but they do have a very specific process of how you can get help from them. I see that our time is short, so I'll just run through how do you get, what services are provided by the library for help from home. There's the library website. Help from home is over here. And some people were asking me, I went back into the breakout rooms, what I'm talking about. So basically, I just meant things like free textbooks via ebooks. You could get help getting the internet access if you need it. You could chat to a librarian. There's online materials that they have and so on, okay? So let's just put one thing. So free ebooks is one of the things that they provide, but there's many more. The library is still very active. They also have workshops. They sometimes have workshops on citing for your papers, citations, and things like that. On which day and time can students access the food pantry? Again, I'm just gonna run through this quickly because I don't wanna keep you past the time. So you go to campus services, there's the food pantry. Here's the days. The day and time is Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can also just email first to make sure you don't go there and there's no one there. What is the number to dial for the Student Information Center? Same, okay, let me get rid of this. Same idea, you go down here on campus services, it's in alphabetical order. There's the Student Information Center number. You're calling these people for just about any question you may have. They should be able to support you, to tell you where to go. Remember, you can also ask me if you don't feel like being on the phone with people, if you have specific questions. Email address to apply for emergency aid. There's lots of money in the foundation, and if you need money, you can apply for it through the foundation. So what am I doing? Sorry, I can feel the time moving, so now I'm trying to move fast, and it's obviously making me actually go slower. So the foundation is over here, right? Emergency aid. This is where you email to, it's probably gonna start in email, of course. This is where you email to the foundation. Let me see if I can copy it without initiating an email. All right, we're almost there. I've got 2 minutes. When is the last day to withdraw from any class for spring 1? Does anybody know? Last day to withdraw.
June
Wasn't
4th.
it in April?
Yeah, no, it's
Oh.
June 4th. It was in May, and then they extended it because of all the COVID stuff. And even for session 2, your last day to withdraw is actually the last day of class as well. So you have until June 4th to decide whether you just want to pick a W on the class, but you also have the credit, no credit option. Where can you see your grades for your classes after exams have been taken? Either on CUNY First, or sometimes your professor would put it on Blackboard. I go for CUNY First. Okay, so those are your 2 options. How can I find my professor's contact information? You can go onto the syllabus, or you can go onto the website. Every department has a site, okay? So either way, hopefully you guys are in contact with your professors. First and last day to apply for the credit, no credit option. Does anybody have those answers?
The last day is July 16th.
Thank you. That's the last day. What is the first day?
June 6th.
Thank you. June 6th is the first day. This is all on the academic calendar, right? Let me just, I know you guys know this already, but just in case. The academic calendar you can find under academics. You go to academic calendar. Every date that you could possibly want to know about is on there, okay? There's the first day to file. There's the last day to file. The first day of classes for spring 2 is on a Saturday on June the 20th. Obviously, if you don't have a Saturday class, it doesn't matter. So June 20th, which is a Saturday, the first weekday class is June 22, which is a Monday, also available on the academic calendar. Why do we care? Why did we do this? Why did you just earn 10% of your grade? Because while you are at home and not able to go to offices on campus, you have to be able to basically advocate for yourself and find answers for yourself, because you won't always receive a prompt response, maybe from your professor or whomever else you're dealing with. So I hope that this exercise was helpful to some extent, even just to know where to go and look for answers. Maybe some of these answers you already knew, but others you didn't. So that concludes the class for today. Let me say, please hold on to your answers, because on Thursday, I will ask Jessica to have you put those answers onto your e-portfolios. There's a specific place on your e-portfolio under your coursework under college resources where you will place those answers. If anybody has questions about anything to do with the class or to do with your other classes, I'll stick around here for maybe another 10 minutes or so, and you can hang on and talk to me. Other than that, go and have a lovely day. Remember, for those who joined late, next week Tuesday is a Monday schedule, so we don't meet. The next time you see me is June the 2nd, and that will be our last class. I will be looking at all the work that people have done on May the 25th. I'm going to prepare a sheet for every person in the class to show you what your grade is to date, or if there's any information or work missing. And then you'll have until June the 7th to finish everything up so that you can be as successful as possible in the class. All right. So talk to you soon. Stay on if you want me to talk to you about anything else. All right. Bye-bye.